Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in this video we will talk about the data type conversions in SQL Server. So let's proceed ahead. Let me take you quickly to my notes. Alright, so today we are going to talk about the data type conversions, but before we proceed ahead, I would request you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. There's a subscribe button coming just below this video. Click on that subscribe button, it will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, it will the option to select all notifications. Please select all notifications to get all the notifications regarding my future and upcoming videos. Now let's continue with this topic. Let me give you 5 seconds. Please go ahead and subscribe right away. So guys, I hope you must have subscribed by now. So let's continue with our topic, which is data type conversions in SQL Server. Guys, in case you want to make any donations or offerings to us via UPI, then you may scan the code on the right hand side to make the payment. You can use any of the UPI based apps like Google Pay or Phone Pay. So there's a code given on the right hand side, which is my GPay code. You can scan that code using any of your UPI apps and make payments to us, basically to support our channel. Else the other way, if you want to make donations, is to go to the following link, which is a topmate.io link. You can type this link as is in your browser like Google Chrome or Edge and press enter. After that it will take you to my topmate.io page. Through that page you can make donations to us as well. And also guys, in case you want to contact us, you can contact us on my email address, which is vermavane@gmail.com. You can contact us for the below requirements, which are given here on the right hand side. In case you need a copy of notes for any of the topics discussed during the video, you can send me an email on my email address. A nominal fee has to be paid if you want to obtain notes for any particular topic. It depends upon how lengthy the notes are. The fee will be decided according to that. So in case you need the copy of the notes, do send me an email on my email address. The other requirement for which you can contact me is to schedule one-on-one calls with me, which will be paid calls. So in case you want to schedule one-on-one calls with me, you can send an email to me so that I will help you in scheduling one of the calls. And in case you want to get SQL Server coaching, you can also contact me on my email address. Some of the other requirements are if you need coaching on any particular SQL topic, or if you need some analysis of Transact-SQL code, or if you want to collaborate for any content creation or brand promotion, you can definitely send us an email on my email address and I will respond back to you. I hope you have watched my previous videos on the constants. If not, please go ahead and do so. Yeah, let's continue with this topic, data type conversions in SQL Server. So let me take you to notes. So let's continue with this section. There will be some practical parts within this video, so keep an eye on this. So at certain points some practical parts will appear. If you want to perform any practicals, you can go ahead and do so. Now let's discuss. So data types can be converted in the following scenarios. So here we are talking about the data type conversions, and we are talking about the scenarios where the data types get converted into the other data types. Now whenever a data from one object is moved to, or if we compare data with some other object, right? So if one object is moved to another object, at that time data type comparisons are done and the conversions are done. Second scenario is the comparison scenario, and another scenarios can be if one object is combined with another object of different data type or the same data type. At that time data type comparisons and conversions are done. So in those scenarios, data might have to be converted from the data type of one object to the data type of other objects. So whenever we made the comparison, or whenever we move an object to another object, or if we combine two objects, basically two different objects that have same data type or different data type, there might be the situations where one data type of one object gets converted to the data type of another object. Now when you convert between an application variable and a SQL Server result set column, If we talk about applications has its own set of variables, and if we talk about SQL Server, it has its own set of not variables but data types. So we are talking about the data types. So here we are talking about the conversions between the application variables and SQL variables, or maybe we can say application data types to SQL data types. These are supported by the data type conversions defined by the database API. Now let's talk about the implicit and explicit conversions. So implicit conversions are those conversions that happen automatically, whereas explicit conversions are those conversions which we manually do. Now data type can be converted either implicitly or explicitly. I have already talked about that, what are implicit conversions and what are the explicit conversions. So data types can be converted either ways. Either the data type conversion can be done implicitly or explicitly. Now we talk about the implicit conversions. These are not visible to the user as they happen automatically. So these implicit conversions are not visible to the user, and SQL Server basically automatically converts the data from one data type to another. So in the implicit conversion scenario, the data type gets converted from one data type to another automatically without our intervention. Now let's take an example. If we when a small int is compared to an integer, so if we have two variables, one is using the small int data type and another one is using the integer data type, and if we try to compare these two variables, the small int one gets implicitly converted to a int before the comparison proceeds. So in those scenarios where we convert the variables of different types, here we have taken an example of a small int variable and an integer variable. If we try to convert those variables, in this scenario the implicit conversion will happen where a small int variable gets converted to an integer variable. Now here we are talking about a getDate function. GetDate function basically implicitly converts to date style 0. SysDateTime is another function that implicitly converts to date style 21. So both the functions provide you with the date in different styles, right? So I can show you an example as well quickly. Let me trigger SQL Server. So getDate function basically does an implicit conversion and provide you dates in style 0, whereas the SysDateTime function also implicitly converts the current date time to a date style type 21. So I'm just waiting for SQL Server to get launched so that I can show you quickly how you can utilize these functions. Alright guys, SQL Server has launched in the background, so I'm opening that. Let's connect to the default instance of the SQL Server, and you can trigger query against any of your databases. Just click on new query, it opens against the default database, which is master, as you can see it over here once the query gets launched. So we are using the master database by default. So the select statement that I am using is not utilizing the master database. So let me put a select getDate. Let's use the getDate function in the select statement and let's see the output. So getDate basically gives you the current date time. So it also does the implicit conversions where it converts the current date time into the date style 0, which is this is date style 0. Similarly, we have another function called SysDateTime, which can also be utilized, right, like this. We can check both the functions simultaneously. So this is the date style 1. No, this is date style 21 and this is date style 0. So the SysDateTime does an implicit conversion. It converts the current date into the date style 21, whereas the getDate function does an implicit conversion of the current date time and it converts it into date style 0. This is date style 0 and this is date style 21. Alright, let's move ahead. So if we talk about explicit conversions, these need to be specified manually. These are not automatic conversions. So if we talk about explicit conversions, we need to use the cast or convert functions, as these are manual conversions that we perform. So we need to use the cast and convert function in order to perform these explicit conversions. Now we talk about these functions, the cast and convert. These functions convert a value of a local variable of a column or another expression. So basically they convert the value to a certain type, right? Basically a local variable is passed which is of one data type. If we want to convert it to any other data type, we can specify the target data type. So these functions can be used to convert the data type variable, basically one data type to another data type. Alright, and in these functions we specify the variables. Now let's take an example, the following cast function. So here we have given you an example of cast function, converts the numeric value of $157.27 into a character string of 157.27. So we specify like cast, and within the brackets this is the source value, which is a numeric value, $157.27, and we are converting it into the varchar 10 format. So you specify as keyword, and then you specify the resultant data type. So after you execute this function, your numeric value of $157.27 get converted into the variable character data type. And basically we should use the cast function instead of convert function if you want your Transact-SQL program to comply with the ISO standards. Try to use the cast function and not the convert function if you want your code to be compatible with the ISO standards. And you can use the convert function instead of the cast function to take advantage of the styling functionality of the convert function. So convert function provides certain kind of styling functionality as well. So in those cases, if you want to use the date styling, basically you can use the convert functions. Otherwise cast is good enough. Now let's discuss one of the diagrams showing the implicit and explicit conversions of data types and that are allowed for SQL Server system supplied data types, but there is implicit conversions to SQL variant. So there are certain situations where the implicit conversions result into the SQL variant data type, which is another data type provided by SQL Server. So let me show you this diagram. So here we see from and the two sections, right? This is the diagram, and if we convert from binary to binary, and let me show you the legend. So blue dots specify the explicit conversions. Wherever we have blue dots, we need to do explicit conversions, and wherever we have the pink squares, these are implicit conversions, and wherever we have X, in those cases the conversions are not allowed. And what about the white boxes? White boxes are the scenarios where conversion is not required. So for example, if we are converting a binary value to another binary value, in those cases the conversion is not required, right? But if we are converting a binary to a wire binary, right, this conversion happens implicitly, denoted by the pink box. So wherever we have pink boxes, we have explicit, not explicit but implicit conversions, which are automatic. So for example, if we want to convert the date data type to char data type, this conversion will be implicit, or which will be done automatically. Now if we talk about the blue arrows, these are representing explicit conversion. So let's take one of the examples. So if we have to convert the char value to a binary value, then that can only be done via the explicit conversion, which is denoted by the blue dot here. This conversion will not be automatic or implicit, right? We need to convert them explicitly. And we have crosses as well over here where the conversions are not possible. For example, we cannot convert the binary data into the float data type, or we cannot convert the binary data into real data type. We cannot convert the binary data into in-text data types. So you can go through this chart, take a snapshot over here. So these are some of the conversions: implicit, explicit, or no conversions, or whether conversions are allowed or not, and this is typically denoted by this chart. Alright, let's move ahead. Now if we talk about the previous chart, it illustrates all the explicit and implicit conversions that are allowed in SQL Server, and it does not indicate the resulting data type of the conversion. So this chart does specify whether the conversion is allowed or not, or whether the conversion will be explicit or implicit, but it does not specify what will be the resultant type or resultant data type. Now for any implicit conversions, assignment statements such as setting the value of the variable or inserting a value into a column result in the data type that was specified by the variable declaration or column definition. So whatever be the data type of the variable, if we assign any particular value to that particular variable, the value automatically gets converted into the data type of that variable during the assignment statements, right? And now let's go into another point, which is for comparison operator. So we compare two different variables of maybe same data type or different data types. So for comparison operators or other expressions, what will be the resultant data type? The resultant data type depends upon the rules of the data type precedence. But for assignments, whatever be the variable, the value gets converted into that particular data type. But for any comparison operations, the resultant data type will depend upon the data type precedence. Now let me take you through some of the examples. Here what we'll do, we will define a variable of type varchar, assign an integer type value to that variable, to a varchar variable, and then we select a concatenation of a variable with a string. And I will also show you the situations where we get the error message. So let me take you to SQL Server. You may write code along with me, and let's trigger a new query which will open against the master database here, as you can see over here. Alright, so master database also, although not required, you can just simply create a new query and execute it. So I'm declaring a new variable here with the declare statement. So I'm specifying the string as the variable. This is not the data type, it's the variable specified with the ampersand sign. So at the string is the variable, and I'm defining it of data type. Let's specify the data type of this variable. I'm specifying varchar 10 as the data type of this variable. Let's do an assignment to this variable using the set statement. So I'm assigning a value 1 to this varchar type variable. So notice here the 1 is the numeric value, whereas the data type of this variable is the varchar 10. So the value when 1 will get converted into the varchar 10 type, because here we are doing some assignment. In the cases of assignment, the resultant data type is the data type of the variable. So here the resultant data type will be varchar 10. Alright, now let me do a select statement, and let me output the value of this string variable, which will be 1 as a string. So I can specify so plus is the concatenation operation over here, as we are dealing with strings. This is not a mathematical operation here. This is a concatenation, playing a role of concatenation operator over here. So if we run this statement over here, what we'll get? It will show us 1 is a string as the resultant output. So we got 1 as a string. So because 1 gets converted into the varchar 10 data type during this assignment operation, so we will be able to print that value 1 as a string using the select statement. Alright, and here all the conversions are implicit. We have not done any explicit conversions. Now here in the above statements, the int value of 1 is converted into a varchar 10. So the select statement returns the value 1 is a string over here. Now let me take you through another example which will show a similar script with an int variable instead. So let me rub this off. Let's declare a new variable. Let's take the name as not a string as the variable name, and let's declare it of type integer, and let's try to assign a value to this integer variable. And in this case I'm assigning a character value here. 1 is enclosed within the code, so it's a character value. So let's do a select statement where I'm trying to print the integer value here, and let's use a concatenate operator over here, and let's type as not a string, because in the second statement, although the value 1 here is a string as it is enclosed within a single quote, it gets converted into an integer value during this assignment operation. So the statement will result in an error message because we are combining an integer value denoted by this variable. This is an integer value, and we are trying to concatenate this value with the string. So we cannot mix the numeric value with the character type data, so we need to do some explicit conversions over here. So if we try to run this statement, we'll get the error simply So we got the error conversion failed. Let me show this error message. We got this error message. If it is small, let me try to print it here. So this is the message we got. Conversion failed when converting a varchar value is not a string to a data type int. Because whenever we try to combine the integer value with the string value, integer has the highest precedence than strings. So your string gets tried to the SQL Server will try to convert your string into an integer value, but this value is not valid for a integer data type. So we got the error message that conversion failed while converting the varchar value is not a string to an data type int. So here SQL Server has tried to perform the implicit conversion, which has failed. So in these cases we need to perform any explicit conversions, right? So in order to evaluate this expression, SQL Server basically follows the rule of data type precedence to complete the implicit conversion before the result of the expression can be calculated. Because here I've already discussed int has a higher precedence than the varchar data type, and SQL Server basically attempts to convert the string to an integer, and it has failed basically over here with this error message, right? It has failed while attempting to convert the string to an integer, and it failed because the string cannot be converted to an integer because this is not a valid value for an integer data type. And if the expression provides a string that can be converted, the conversion will succeed. So for example, if I give something like 2 over here without any spaces maybe, so this value will get in this case we will not get any error message because 2 value is idle for conversion into an integer data type, right? So this statement can be executed fine. So here the character value 2 got converted into integer value first before the addition can be made. So here the plus operator will act as the addition operator. So the value of 1 got added to the value of 2 and we got resultant expression 3 over here. This is one of the practicals. I hope you like this practical. And let's go to the notes. Let's talk on the data type conversion behaviors over here. So some implicit and explicit data type conversions, or not conversations but conversions. So some of the implicit and explicit conversions are not supported by the SQL Server, as I've shown you over the chart over here. Wherever we have crosses, either the implicit or explicit conversions are not possible in this case, for example. Alright, so we were talking about the data type conversion behaviors. So we were talking that some of the implicit and explicit data type conversions. So some of these implicit and explicit data type conversions are not supported. So in the diagram we see some of the conversions are showing X against them. So for example, we cannot convert a binary data type into a float data type, and similarly we cannot convert the date data type to the decimal data type. So these type of conversions are not allowed where we have X written against them in the cross section, right? Let's go ahead. So some of the implicit and explicit data type conversions are not supported at all, and whenever you are trying to convert the data type of one SQL Server object to another, so during the conversions some explicit and implicit conversions are not allowed. And we have taken an example. I've shown you some example over the top. So for example, an nchar value cannot be converted to an image value, so that can be one of the examples. And then you can definitely refer to the charts to this chart basically to determine which type of conversions are not supported. I hope you have taken screenshots. So an nchar value cannot be converted either explicitly or implicitly to a image value. Image is also one of the data types of SQL Server, and nchar value can only be converted to a binary data by using the explicit conversions. So nchar to binary conversion is allowed, but that has to be explicit, and implicit conversion to binary is not supported in the case of nchar to binary, and implicit conversion is not supported. However, an nchar value can be explicitly converted into the explicitly or implicitly, both ways it can be converted to an varchar value. So we can convert an nchar value into an nchar and varchar1 data type, this conversion takes place implicitly as well as explicitly as well. So this is an example of one of the types of conversion where both the implicit and explicit conversion is supported. Now let's talk about conversion of data types by using the OLE automation stored procedures. And because SQL Server uses the Transact-SQL data types and OLE automation, and if we talk about the OLE automation, it uses the Visual Basic data types, whereas the SQL Server uses the Transact-SQL data types. The OLE automation stored procedure must convert the data type that passes between them. So there are some of the APIs provided by OLE automation which basically performs this conversion between the SQL Server and Visual Basic data types. And there's a table given below which basically describes SQL Server to Visual Basic data type conversions. These are OLE conversions. So on the left hand side we have SQL Server data types, on the right hand side we have Visual Basic data types. So if we talk about SQL Server data types, char, varchar, text, and char, and varchar, and text, these if we try to convert this value into Visual Basic data type, then these data types get converted into a string data type. Same is for decimal and numeric values as well. Bits get converted into the Boolean variables or Boolean data type. Binary, var binary, and image data type get converted into one-dimensional byte array. Integer data type gets converted into long data type in Visual Basic. Small int data type gets converted into integer data type. Tiny int data type gets converted into byte data type. Float gets converted into double. Real converted into single. On the right hand side we have Visual Basic data types. We use these data types in Visual Basics. So if we try to convert the SQL data type into the Visual Basic data type, so this is the chart we can refer to see what type of conversions happen. And if we talk about the small money and money data type, these get converted into currency data type in SQL Server. For dates, date time and small data time, this gets converted into date data type in SQL Server. Anything which is set to null, that gets converted into a variant data type in Visual Basic, and it is set to null. Now all single SQL Server values are converted to a single Visual Basic value except for binary, var binary, and image values. And these values are converted to a one-dimensional byte array in Visual Basic. So here we have given an example. Any binary, var binary, or image data type in SQL Server gets converted into a one-dimensional byte array. This array has a range of byte 0 to length, where length is the number of bytes in SQL Server binary, var binary, and image values. And we have another chart which is showing below. And this chart is showing conversions from Visual Basic data types to SQL Server data types. So this time on the left hand side we have Visual Basic data type, and on the right hand side we have SQL Server data type. So any long integer, byte, boolean, and object type variable types or data types in Visual Basic get converted to an integer type in SQL Server. Double and single data types in Visual Basic get converted into float data type in SQL Server. Currency data type in Visual Basic get converted into money data type in SQL Server. Date data type in Visual Basic get converted into date time data type in SQL Server. If we have any string with 4000 character or less, these get converted into varchar and varchar data type in SQL Server. And if we have large strings more than 4000 characters, this will be converted into text and text data types in SQL Server. And if we have any one-dimensional byte array with 8000 bytes or less, this data type gets converted into var binary data type, or this data gets converted into var binary data type in SQL Server. And if we have a one-dimensional byte array with more than 8000 bytes or more than 8000 bytes, then this data gets converted into this data type gets converted into the image data type in SQL Server. Now let's talk about some of the non-deterministic conversions of literal date strings into the date values. Non-deterministic basically means which cannot be determined. So any conversion which is not determined, and we are talking in context to the literal date strings here into the date values. And basically there is a word of caution when allowing conversions of your character strings into the date data type. So we should proceed with caution whenever we are converting character string into the data types, and the real reason behind that caution is that such conversions are often non-deterministic, which means that the result of the conversion is unknown at that point. And you can control these non-deterministic conversions by account for the settings of the set language and set date format settings we have in SQL Server. And we can control this non-deterministic behavior by the use of these settings, the language and the date format. And let me show you an example of setting up these two sections, or these two settings, the language and the date format. Let me take you through some examples. So let's start with the set language example over here. So let me take you to SQL Server and trigger a new query against the master database, and basically you use this statement. For example, let me set the language to Polish here. So this is the type of statements you use to set a language particularly for your environment. Now if we talk about a character string, it can be a name of the month, but the name is in English or Polish or Croatian or any other language. And will the user session be set to the correct corresponding language? So using this setting we can set particular session. So this is a session basically. This is a session window, and the session ID for this window is it's given over the top. The 52 is the session ID for this window, and denoted here in the brackets, right? So we are setting the language of this session particularly to Polish. So if we take an example over here, let's consider a word called listopad, which is the name of the month in Polish language, right? Listopad is the name of the month, but which month it is depends upon the language in SQL system. SQL system believes is being used. So it have this word has different context in different languages. So if the language is set to Polish, the meaning of this word means November. So if a Polish language is used for a session, the word, if we use the word listopad, the word listopad translates to month 11, which is November. Similarly, if the language of the session is set to Croatian, so if a Croatian language is used for then the meaning of this word gets changed, right? The meaning of the word listopad gets changed whenever we use the Croatian language. So this word translates to the month 10 in that case, which is October. Every word has a different meaning and context to the language being used for a particular session. Now let me show you an example particularly over here. Let me write some code over here at the bottom. So what I'm doing here is I'm declaring a variable, and variable here is input. Your input date is the variable name, and I'm taking it of type nvarchar, which is the character data type. I'm taking the length of this data type as 32, and I'm mentioning 28 listopad 2018. This is a date string I've specified, 28 listopad 2018 is the string literal for a date format, right? And I'm storing this string in the nvarchar32 data type variable, your input date. Instead of setting the language here, let me set it here. I'm setting the language to Polish over here. So I've set the language of the session to Polish in this particular second statement. Now let's do a select statement over here, and let's try to convert the way to use this function is you have to specify the target data type first. So let me change it to the target data type date. So we are trying to convert this string literal into a date data type over here using the convert function explicitly, and let's pass on the variable, which is your input date over here. We are trying to convert this variable, whatever is stored in this variable, into the date format. So we are using the convert date function, right? And let's take the column name for this column as let's take the column name as SL Polish. This is the column name, and After that, let's try to change the language to Croatian here now. So use this statement, you can copy it out. Just change the language to Croatian over here. The language is changed to Croatian. Now let's use the select. Similarly, we can use the same function over here. The variable will remain the same, but here, yeah, let's take a different column name, which is SL_Croatian. Now finally change the language to English for the session. So let's change the language to. Alright, so let's see the output of this statement over here. So first, this variable will be printed. It will be taken as a Polish format. So in Polish, if we pass on the string listopad, it gets converted into 11, which is November. But if it's Croatian, the same string listopad is month 10, which is October. So I've tried to use the same string, right? But the only difference is here the language is being used as Polish, and in the second scenario we are using the Croatian language to print the string. Now let's execute the statement. You see the difference over here. 28 listopad 2018 is printed as 2018 11. 11 is listopad over here, which is November, and 28 is the date over here. 2018 is the year over here. So give your attention here. If the language of the session is set to Polish, the listopad gets converted to November. But if the language of session is set to Croatian, the listopad word gets converted into month 10, which is October, as depicted in this case, right? The result is given at the bottom section, where the listopad word gets converted into value 10 here, and in the above select statement, the listopad word gets converted into 11, which is as per the Polish language. So I hope you get the idea. Now let me take you back to notes. Now let me take you through a demo on the date format example. So let me rub off the code over here. I hope you have taken down the notes. If not, you can take a screenshot of this code screen and you can write it down. Now let me rub this off, and I'm talking about the second statement, which is set date format. We can specify the date format as DMY, which stands for date, month and year. So I've set the date format to DMY over here using the this statement. Now this particular set date format DMY statement, this format says that an example date string of, so for example, if we take a date string over here, so if we take this as an example date string, right, now this will be treated as DMY. So date, the first part of this string literal will be considered as date, second part will be considered as month, and the last part is considered as year, because we have set the session info to use the date format DMY instead over here, right? So this string literal will be treated as, the first part will be treated as date, second part will be treated as month, and the third part will be treated as year. So this string will be interpreted to mean the first day of March in the year 2018. But instead, if we use the different format, for example, if we use the MDY format, then the same date string would mean the third day of January in 2018. And similarly, if we use another format, like if we use the YMD format over here, if YMD is specified, the same string literal. So if we specify the YMD format, right, there is no guarantee of what the output would be. The output of the numeric value of 2018 is too large to hold in a day structure, right, because days can be from 1 to 31 are the valid values. So not sure how this string will be interpreted whenever we convert it into the YMD format. Now let's talk about the specific countries and region. So if we talk about Japan and China over here, the date format of YMD is used. So in Japan and China, the date format which is used is YMD is the format that is used over there, year, month and date. And the format parts is in a sensible sequence over here of largest unit to smallest unit. So this format basically sorts well, and this format is considered to be the international format. It's international because the 4 dates of the year are unambiguous and no country region on earth uses the archaic format of YDM. So this is one of the good formats. Now we talk about the any other countries and regions. Let's talk about Germany and France over here. The date format over there is DMY in the Germany and France, which means which is equivalent to like DDMM and YYYY. This is same. DMY is same as this one, date, month and year. And the DMI format doesn't sort well. Basically, if we talk about this format, the formatting, the sorting of this format does not go well, but the sorting of this format goes very well. Alright, and this is also a sensible sequence, but give issues during the sorting. So this is also a sensible sequence of smallest unit to the largest unit. It's only it gives some issues during the sorting of dates. Now if we talk about the United States and the Federated States of Micronesia, these are the only country regions that use the MDY. So if we talk about United States over here, it uses the MDY format, which is month, date and year, and which doesn't sort well, and the format's mix sequence matches a pattern of verbal speech and spoken dates. Now let me share with you the code example for set date format, MDY versus the DMY. Let's try to use both, and you can write the code statements along with me if you like. Let's declare a variable which is my date string, so I'm specifying as your date string, and I'm taking it as nvarchar type with a length of 10 digits, and let's store the value, which is the date value over here. I'm storing a string 12/9/2018 in this variable. Now I can also use the print statement to print the string. You just need to specify the name of the variable over here, and we can concatenate this string with another string. So I'm taking the equal to the input. Alright, this will get printed along with the this date. Here we are using here we are concatenating two strings. So if I execute this statement, I just get this message, this date equal to the input. So this is the input. Alright, and this got printed. Let me share with you what is printed. This is printed over here in the message if it's not visible to you. Alright, so this is the message we have printed. Now let's select the date format using the set date format setting, not data format but date format, and let's set the date format to DMY, which is date, month and year. And now let's specify the select statement and try to perform conversion into the date over here. Date is the target data type, and let's put the string, which is here we need to use the date format is correct over here. Let's use the semicolon over here. The statement looks correct, or I'm not sure why it's underlining this. So we need to use the set statement over here instead of select. That's why it was giving us the red underlined. So here we are setting the date format to the DMY format, and we are using select statement to convert the string, your date string, into the date data type. So this is the function to be used, and let's take it as column time. Let's take the header of the column, and let's take the header as DMY interpretation of input. Let's see, this is the name of the column header which will appear where we are converting the input string to a date format. Now let's change the date format over here. Let's try to convert the date. Let's set the date format in a different way. This time let's set the date format as MDY, right? So MDY is the date format now, and let's try to print the same string, just we change the column header. So instead of DMY, this time we have taken as MDY. Now let's again change the date format. This time change it to YMD. Let's try to print the same string in the YMD format. So for 12, I don't know which year it will consider, but 2018 is not a good value for the date, and I'm not sure how this string will be interpreted, but let's try to print it. So this is the YMD format. Let's try to print this statement and see what do we get. So execute it. Now where the date format is TMY, the string 12/9/2018 is printed as 2018 9/12, which is then the basically 12 is considered as date and month is considered as September, right? And the year is considered 2018. Now if we use the date format of MDY, 12 will be considered as month, 9 will be considered as date, and 2018 will be considered as year, as specified here, MDY format. Alright, so this is MDY conversion, or date format of MDY type. And similarly, if we try to convert the same string into the year format, so here it has taken automatically 2018 as year, although it should have taken as the first part as year, but it has taken the last part as the year, so conversion is correct. So it has taken the first part as the month, right, second part as the date, and third part as the year. So conversion happened fine, although the date format is set to YMD. So guys, I hope you like these conversions, and in this particular code example, if we talk about here, the final example, which is this one, YMD, has a mismatch between the format of YMD. So this date is ideally not suited for YMD format. So there is a mismatch between the format of YMD versus the input string. And the third node of the input string represents the numeric value, that is too large to be a day. So 2018 is too large to be a part of day section, right? And the output of such statement is not granted, although it has performed well in our scenario, but the output of such statement is not guaranteed. Alright, that is what we are trying to convey. Although we got the correct output, but the output is not guaranteed in each and every case. Now if we talk about this convert functions, typically it offers the explicit codes for the deterministic control of datetime formats, as we have talked specifically. The cast function doesn't provide such functionality, so our cast and convert documentation basically lists the explicit codes that can be used with the convert function to deterministically control the date conversions. Yeah, that's it. And so I hope you like these examples for the set language and the set date format. We have shown you two examples. I hope you like these examples. Now let's talk a little bit about the data type precedence, and we will wrap up this video. After that, we have already recorded like 51 minutes of video, so this will be like 60 minutes long video. Now let's talk about the data type precedence. Now whenever we combine, or whenever an operator is combined in the expressions of different data types, the data type with a lower precedence is first converted into the data type with the highest precedence. So the data type with the lower precedence gets converted into the data type with highest precedence first, if we mix the two type of operators with different data types. Now if the conversion isn't a supported implicit conversion, an error is returned. For an operator combining operand expressions having the same data types, the result of the operation has that particular data type. So in case the we have used the two variables with same data types, the result will be of same data type. And if we talk about SQL Server, it uses the following precedence order for the data types. So SQL Server has a particular order of precedence for the data types it has. So any user data type or user defined data types have the highest precedence. Next come JSON, then SQL variant, and XML, datetime offset, datetime2, datetime, small datetime, datetime float real, decimal money, small money, big int. This is the order of precedence, big int and small int, with the lowest precedence is of binary data types. So this is the precedence from highest to lowest. Lowest binary comes under the lowest precedence, and any user defined data types comes with the highest precedence. So whenever we mix the variable of different data types, conversion happens according to that precedence, any implicit conversions we are talking about. Alright guys, we are done with this video. In today's video we have discussed about the data type conversions, right? We have talked about various scenarios during the data type conversions, and we have talked about the implicit and explicit conversions, and we have shown you one of the examples. Then we have shown you a chart showing you implicit and explicit conversions. We have also talked about the situations where conversions do not happen, and we've also talked about the situations where it is not possible to perform any implicit or explicit conversions. And finally we have discussed an example with you, a code example, which you can watch in this video if you go back. And we have talked about the data type conversion behaviors as well. We have talked about converting data types using the OLE automation stored procedure, where we have talked about the conversion of SQL Server data types into the Visual Basic data type and vice versa. And finally we have talked about the non-deterministic conversion of literal date string into the date values. We have shown you a demo on using the set language settings and set date format settings in SQL Server. Finally, we have talked about the data type precedence for the SQL Server data types, and I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please click on the like button, and that is coming below this video. Once you click on the like button, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel yet, you can do so by clicking on the subscribe button. Once you click on the subscribe button, it will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future and upcoming videos. And the next video I will be preparing on the topic the data type synonyms. We will discuss about data type synonyms in our next video. So keep an eye. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel quickly. Let me give you 5 seconds. Please go ahead and subscribe right away. So guys, I hope you must have subscribed by now. If yes, then it's very good. You will get all the notifications, and if not, you will miss on some of the notifications of my videos that get posted on my channel. So please subscribe, and also do comment on our videos, guys. Do share your viewpoints, any task need, requirements, anything you would like to post. You can post your comments, whatever you think of my videos, any questions you have, etc. Anything related to video, you can post it over with the comments. So I hope you like this video, and you have clicked on the like button, you have subscribed to the channel, and also guys, do share this video with your friends in case you feel this video will be useful for them. You can definitely share my videos with them. There's a share button coming below this video through which you can share. Once you click on the share button, you can share my videos with your friends over any of the social media platforms. Guys, in case you want to make any donations or offerings to us via UPI, then you may scan the code on the right hand side to make the payment. You can use any of the UPI based apps like Google Pay or Phone Pay. So there's a code given on the right hand side, which is my GPay code. You can scan that code using any of your UPI apps and make payments to us, basically to support our channel. Else, the other way, if you want to make donations, is to go to the following link, which is a topmate.io link. You can type this link as is in your browser like Google Chrome or Edge, and press enter. After that, it will take you to my topmate.io page. Through that page, you can make donations to us as well. And also guys, in case you want to contact us, you can contact us on my email address, which is vermavane@gmail.com. You can contact us for the below requirements, which are given here on the right hand side. In case you need a copy of notes for any of the topics discussed during the video, you can send me an email on my email address. A nominal fee has to be paid if you want to obtain notes for any particular topic. It depends upon how lengthy the notes are. The fee will be decided according to that. So in case you need the copy of the notes, do send me an email on my email address. The other requirement for which you can contact me is to schedule one-on-one calls with me, which will be paid calls. So in case you want to schedule one-on-one calls with me, you can send an email to me so that I will help you in scheduling one of the calls. And in case you want to get SQL Server coaching, you can also contact me on my email address. Some of the other requirements are if you need coaching on any particular SQL topic, or if you need some analysis of Transact-SQL code, or if you want to collaborate for any content creation or brand promotion, you can definitely send us an email on my email address and I will respond back to you. So I thank you so much for your time on this video today, guys, and you have a wonderful day ahead.